Well, thank you for the invitation. If you want to follow up on the presentation, here is the QR. If you want to download it or get what I say, pretty much just images, but here it is. Okay, well, my name is Raúl Valencia. I have like 6 months in Australia. I am from Mexico, but I came from New Zealand before Australia. And today I'm going to present how to run LLMs locally on your iPhone. I just mentioned, if you want to follow or contact me on LinkedIn, here it is. Also, when I arrived to Australia, I started this company named Quantalis, and we specialize in making LLMs run locally, private, and everything without internet. They don't require any internet connection. I'll talk a little bit more about it, but why do we actually need to run them locally? Like, is there a need? I guess there is. At least I use it. I am one of the users. I am like, if I find something on the software that I'm using, I am going to resolve it, or I try, and that's why I started this. What options do you have as an independent person, not depending on a cloud provider? Of course, there is no good presentation without a good demo. I hope it works. And of course, a small time for Q&A. I don't know if you have heard that at some point, the Samsung workers were leaking information to ChatGPT. This is 2023. Of course, in the times of AI, that is an eternity. But that is one of the reasons you might need to run LLM models privately. So you keep your data within your organization, within your device, within your execution. The other thing, of course, data comes with control your own data. Most people, I have realized, do not care about privacy. They are like, whatever, I don't have anything to hide. I don't have anything to worry about. Like, no, come on. Like, the information we give to all big tech, it has come to bite us. Like right now, there are LLMs, they are an example. We have given so much data to big tech that now we have LLMs. You might say, that's good, right? Sometimes it is not. And the other thing about running these models privately and locally, you will consume less resources in general, because of course it is not the same as running the model on my Mac that I have to charge compared to running big farms of GPUs that consume a lot of water to just keep them cool. So that is another reason, and I can go all night about why you should, but these are quite good. So in general, and of course those models become more efficient, but in general, ChatGPT uses 1 bottle of water for cooling per query. So every time you see like, oh yeah, this works like magic, you are consuming a lot of resources. And that is something we don't see because it is just on the cloud. And the cloud is efficient, right? Who says? If you want to run locally, of course, this is a shameless sell. If you search for the Albot, it is on the App Store. There is like literally. However, disclaimer, you need either the latest model of Macs, M1 forward. I haven't tried on really hard, beefy Intels. You need either an iPad Pro that has M1 as well. Those ones I have seen it working. And for the iPhone, you run it on the latest iPhone 15 Pro, the one that has 8 gigabytes of RAM. Otherwise, I have seen it on, I think, on a 13, 14, but that was, I got surprised when I saw it running. So just be advised. There is a free version, of course. I don't just piggyback on the work on the awesome work that the open source community does. There is a free version if you want to try it, test it. But the trouble is I don't keep that updated, so just keep that in mind. And as well, downloading it, you help me because I am right now solo developer. My wife helps me as well a little bit with the operations, but I'm just bootstrapping myself. So, okay, local options. I am not here to sell you Albot. I am here to give you tools to extend like the ways you can run LLMs. So local chat, that is a free version. The trouble I found is you download the app, but then you have to download the model. So Enchanted as well. That is another on the App Store. You can find it. LLM Studio works on Mac, works on Windows, works on Linux, or Llama. Or Llama is a terminal-based interface that you can as well download the models, plug them, and start working with it. But today, I'm going to talk about llama.cpp. Why? Because that is the library that I use underneath in order to load the model and then execute on the app. And as I mentioned, there is no good presentation without a demo, so let's give it a try. Fortunately, last time it worked. I hope it does this time. So this code, it is on GitHub. So if you download it, you download the model, plug the path for that model, and then you will be able to run it. This is shameless as well. The code that it is running here, it is completely based on the llama.cpp open source project. But I modify it so we can run it on Xcode plug and play. Because by default, it uses CMake to generate the project and then build everything, and then you can generate an Xcode. But here it is just like download, run Xcode, be happy with it. Of course, this is just the simulator. As with everything with the simulator, there are some restrictions. The first and most important restriction, it runs only on the CPU. It does not run on the GPU, which it is very necessary. So let's say I just ask this. Okay, and then I send. This is going to be really, really slow. Just bear with it. So where did I send? Yes, as I said, this is low. But as you can see, it starts to generate the text out of the LLM, which it is the llama 3.18b instruct IQ3 _ XS. What that section means? So Meta releases the model in full precision, they call it. And in order to run it on a device that it is constrained on hardware resources, we need to quantize it. I can go all deep down around what quantization means, but in general terms, make it smaller so we can put everything on the phone and then run it within the phone. If you want to see it running faster on my phone, I can show it to you. But yeah, basically, and as you can see, all these are the queries I do to the model so I can start testing. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. Before I let you go, I don't want to give you the impression that these models run really slow. So I will show you Albot running on the computer and loading and everything. So I will make the same question and you will see the difference. So that's the big difference between running on the GPU and the NPU and running on the CPU, because on the simulator we cannot actually get the power of the GPU from Mac into the simulator. So just don't think like, oh no, it is too slow, I cannot work with that. You can. And of course, this is the debugging. I am testing, and before I came, I stashed all my changes because if something breaks, this is the debugging version. And you can see so yeah, that's everything. Oh, I just have one ask. If anyone here knows about self-extend and the paper about it, let me know. I struggled with it a little bit about how to run it, how to implement it correctly, because the llama.cpp library has some little issues that I identified, but I haven't been able to resolve them in order to put them back into the library and for everyone to use. But yeah, so thank you so much. And as I mentioned, just if you really want to run this, it is github.com/rhval. I forgot to put a QR, but llama C++ Xcode. That's the URL. Download it. In order to change the path, LLM bridge, it is the llama state.swift, and then you can, here I just hard coded the URL so I don't have to make a lot of changes, but here it is. And you can see bundled URL, and there you can change to something that you download, because of course it is just the code. You still need to get the model. But yeah.
Awesome. Any questions?
How big's the model?
How big? It is 3 gigabytes something. This version, the Quantalis version, this one it is 316, 320. And that's why if you go and see Albot, it weights that because it is the whole model. I don't want any of your data. I want to respect people's privacy. So the only way to do it is to actually pack the whole model into the app.
Yeah, it's like 3.5 gig to download.
Yeah.
Which I did, and I asked it, Raúl is doing a presentation about running LLMs locally on your phone. What point should he make to convince people local LLMs are a good idea? And it did a really good outline.
Exactly.
Some of the things you said, like security, latency not being a problem, stuff like that. Pretty impressive.
Thank you.
Really good.
And the Albot, I will keep updating. Like right now, and that's why I had this, I am working on functions. So this is future work. Don't bet me on it. But once I can get the functions working, I want the Albot to perform actions on behalf of the user and integrate highly with the operative system, because with app intents, we can say like, oh, do this, and then query this app, and then get this information. Like, of course, Apple Intelligent it is doing, but they are taking a very cautious approach. I'm just going to try to do something around it.
With regards to the local LLM, I'm just wondering, like, what kind of use cases could you see people adopting your kind of approach to their, I guess, businesses? Like, what kind of use cases are there for
businesses?
local LLM?
Well, for businesses, I have seen some people talking about in healthcare. They don't want the healthcare provider or doctor transcribing everything and put it into the cloud, that it is on the US or that it is in another country. That is something very important for people wanting to run it locally. I have seen other cases for financial as well. I don't want to give away all the financial reports into a cloud that we don't know where it is running, and then we can run it on device. The latency is quite a big one as well. Like, you can see it executing, and then you can be like, oh, okay, it is working, and I can do things with it, iterate faster. For coding, and that is something, another thing I am going to work on, you run the model locally, so you can run sections of your code into the model, and then it feeds back you, and then it starts iterating on top of it, without having to give away the code that you are working, that it is proprietary and that it is very, very sensitive. So pretty much those, we go back. Privacy is necessary, but most people do not care about it. So, yeah.
I have a question now. I'm not as familiar with large language models because I haven't learned a heap about them yet, but I do have a question regarding scalability. So I know you don't want to put data in the cloud because of security concerns, but if the app needs to scale with as the model grows, or I believe, how would you address the scalability issue with your application?
Scalability, you mean that the model grows, like the next version it is going to be 5 gigabytes?
Yeah, probably that.
Yeah, because at the end, I don't need a server. So I don't need to scale because everything runs on the phone. On that sense, like in the scale of servers, on the scale of the model growing, well, that is something I am concerned. But with quantization, we make the model that generally is like 16 gigabytes for the 8 billion parameters down to 3 gigabytes. So we can keep it within that range. If they grow massively, then we have other alternatives. There might be like 10 gigabytes, 12 gigabytes. It is possible that at some point, the phones and the computers become so powerful that we can grow that as well. So we are more hardware dependent on how much we can grow that size, but I am not that concerned because we can quantize it and make it shorter. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, sorry. So, comment first, then a question.
Mm-hmm.
Apple's cloud compute is probably the best idea to look at for how if a query of a model isn't going to run sufficiently on device, how do you get it in a privacy way up to a cloud? So there's a few online resources around that. That's probably one thing to look at, Dylan, if you want to explore that, understand it a bit more. The question is, have you done any comparisons between llama.cpp and Apple Intelligence, and or between other different models?
Regarding Apple Intelligence, I have not. I haven't downloaded the beta versions because, of course, if you download the beta versions, then you cannot publish into the App Store, and I need to publish every month. So, what I have seen about Apple Intelligence, it is the cautious approach. It is not generating a lot of information. It is more about the information that I already have, modify it so it feels like they put the example of the mail, right? You are not generating new information from the mail. You are just modifying the contents of that mail. With the Memoji, it is generating, yes, but it is generating in a closed environment that you cannot generate, like, not for safe work type of images, right? So with this approach, it is more like hands-on, off. Like with the Albot, you can change the prompt and it can behave differently. Regarding the private compute, I really like what they are doing around the architecture. And at some point, one of the things I want to work on, if you have a big Mac, put Albot there and then run it on your phone and then connect with it. That is a private cloud, right? So yeah.
How do you ensure the privacy? Like, how would someone validate that Albot is secure and private and does what it says it does?
That is a concern that I sleep every night. Like, without open sourcing the code that I have for Albot, the only thing that you have it is my word that I am not doing anything nefarious. The first thing, I don't make any requests that, of course, I am working on requests, but at the moment, Albot does not make any outside requests. The second thing, last version, I published the chats. Everything that you store on device, it is encrypted. So it does not. But maybe 2 or 3 years down the line, if I find someone that wants to support me, I will open source. Like, I don't mind open source. Right now I'm closed because that's the only monetization way I can see for me right now. But if you know an angel investor that it is like, oh yeah, open source it. Here it is for you to survive 1 year, I'm all for it. The other thing, zero knowledge proofs. That is something I have considered that, okay, I create the zero knowledge proof of this code that behaves this way, and then I publish that. That way I can say that I am doing it without actually revealing the code and have cryptographic verifiable that I'm doing it. But that's down the line.
Any more questions?
Are you looking at image models, or are they just too huge and too hard to run?
I am looking at them. I want to make an app like Albot. That is another idea I want to work on. I am just giving away all my ideas. If you want to replicate them, go ahead. So I have the image model, I have the text model, they work together. All of them privately within your device. I have seen them, but I have not actually worked like hands-on with it, not yet, but at some point.
Does your local data sync? Like, as in, would it sync across devices, or?
At the moment, it does not, but
You could do that.
it could do that using iCloud.
Interesting. Any more questions? I think that's it.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Raúl.
Thank you.